Yeah. How?
Good evening. Welcome to the May Pittsboro Board of Commissioners meeting on May 11th this evening. I will call the meeting to order and we will start with a moment of silence. Please join me. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Farrell, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. Would everyone rise for the pledge? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. We have the agenda and the consent agenda in front of us. Are there any changes or additions to either?
Make a motion to set the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Second, Commissioner Thurber. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Farrell.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Bonitz. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right. We have quite a few ceremonial items this evening, so that's exciting. If we're going to start with the oath of office for Police Officer O'Daniel. If you can join me at the podium.
Mom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on, Mom. You're gonna hold the Bible. I'm just gonna sing a little for you.
Good luck. Place your hand there and repeat after me.
Sir.
I, Dean Teer O'Daniel,
I, Dean Teer O'Daniel,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina,
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor to support,
and that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend the
Ma-
Constitution
maintain, and defend the Constitution
of the said state,
of the said state,
and not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States.
and not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
That I will be alert and vigilant
that I will be alert and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
and that I will not be influenced in any matter
and that I will not be influenced in any matter
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
and that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties
and that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties
of my office as a police officer
of my office as a police officer
for the town of Pittsboro
for the town of Pittsboro,
according to the best of my skill, abilities, and judgment.
according to the best of my skill, abilities, and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Up next, Police Officer Tapales. I, John Benedict Tapales,
I, John Benedict Tapales,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina,
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor to support,
and that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend the Constitution
maintain, and defend the Constitution
of the said state
of the said state,
and not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States.
and not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
That I will be alert and vigilant
that I will be alert and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
and that I will not be influenced in any matter
and that I will not be influenced in any matter
on account of personal bias or prejudice,
on account of personal bias and prejudice,
and that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties
that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties
of my office as a police officer
of my office as a police officer
for the town of Pittsboro,
for the town of Pittsboro,
according to the best of my skill, abilities, and judgment.
according to the best of my skill, abilities, and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. All right, up next, if I can have all the police officers join me up here. And I will say with the hiring of these two officers, we are full as a police department. Is that correct? What, who is hiring? One short. Sure. Doing very well though. So up now, we have a proclamation to recognize National Police Week 2026. So appreciate all of you being here for all of these items. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the town of Pittsboro Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, there are currently more than 24,500 law enforcement officers in the United States that have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. Whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. And whereas 363 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 190 officers killed in 2025 and 254 officers killed in previous years. Whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 38th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13, 2026. Whereas the Candlelight Vigil is a part of National Police Week, which will be observed this year, May 11th to 16th. And whereas May 15th is designated as Police Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and the U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Now therefore I, Kyle Shipp, Mayor of the town of Pittsboro, and on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, hereby observe May 11 to 16, 2026 is National Police Week in Pittsboro, North Carolina, and publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and communities across the nation. Thank you. Okay. Up next, we have a resolution in recognition of the North Carolina Main Street Award for the best outdoor improvement for the Pittsboro Pop-Up Park. So if everybody involved in that can join me up here. I think we have. Oh. Come on, come on. Just so everybody else knows, this is a statewide award that the town of Pittsboro won for the pop-up park. So, and I think this is, we've had multiple years winning the statewide awards, design awards as well. So, come on. All right, I'll read the resolution and then we will, take a motion. Whereas. Oh. Whereas vibrant downtowns are shaped by spaces that bring people together and create energy, as demonstrated by the Pittsboro Pop-Up Park, which transformed a long vacant lot in the into a community gathering space. And whereas the project was envisioned by the Downtown Design Committee, who saw an opportunity to activate the underutilized space rather than wait for long-term redevelopment. And whereas intended as a temporary space, the park builds momentum for a future permanent downtown park while allowing the town to test ideas and refine programming. And whereas this project would not have been possible without significant financial contribution from Chatham Park, along with strong public-private partnerships, donations of materials, and in-kind support, reflecting the collaborative spirit that drives downtown vitality and community success. And whereas the town continues to partner with community organizations to host events, programs, and markets, keeping the space active and visible while increasing foot traffic, supporting local businesses, and inspiring additional improvements throughout the surrounding area. And whereas the project's creativity, community impact, and innovative approach to temporary activation were recognized with the North Carolina Main Street Award for Best Outdoor Improvement received on March 11, 2026. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Pittsboro Town Board of Commissioners proudly recognizes the Pittsboro Pop-Up Park and extends its appreciation to all partners, donors, town staff, community volunteers, and organizations who made this project possible. I get a motion?
Moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Foley. Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Farrell? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
If I could pass out the
Absolutely.
awards. So
Yes.
some of them were given at the Accessory Street Conference. That includes Chatham Park, Poythress Commercial Contractors, Frank Poythress Foundation, Town of Pittsboro, Chatham Alliance, Paris Land Studio, Hobbs Architects, Pittsboro Rotary Club, Pittsboro Paint Center, Cedars Fence, and Lowe's Heart. So the three that could make it tonight include the Benedict from Chatham Park, Hobbs Architects, and the Design Committee as well, and also the Town of Pittsboro. So if we get a picture of those that could make it tonight.
In there, Tracy.
Oh, Jonathan needs to get up there. Here, Jonathan.
Mr. Franklin.
If you're not quite finished, so. This is a resolution in recognition of the Mayor Kyle Shipp as Pittsburgh's 2025 Main Street Champion. Whereas thriving downtowns are strengthened by leaders who believe in their communities and put into work to make them stronger each day. Whereas Mayor Shipp sees downtown Pittsboro as the heartbeat of the town, where neighbors connect, ideas spark, and community pride comes to life. And whereas his leadership has helped move forward key downtown infrastructure projects and secure meaningful investments that support small businesses and fuel continued growth. And whereas whether he's supporting major projects or competing in an ice cream eating contest or racing in an inflatable costume, Mayor Shipp shows up with energy and enthusiasm for the Pittsburgh community. And whereas his leadership and collaborative spirit reflect the very best of the North Carolina Main Street program. And through his optimism, authenticity, and genuine commitment, have made a strong impact on the energy and commitment to downtown Pittsboro. Now therefore, be it resolved, Mayor Kyle Shipp is hereby honored and recognized as the 2025 Pittsboro Main Street Champion for his leadership, dedication, and lasting contributions to a vibrant and thriving downtown Pittsboro. Adopted this, the 11th day of May, 2026. Congratulations.
Yes, people don't realize we don't have a downtown program. If it wasn't for the mayor. A few years ago, when the downtown advisory board was created, Kyle and a couple others actually reached out to all the members personally asking them to join, which is about an 18-member board. So everything we do is because it's possible because of the mayor, and all the support that he's given continuously over the years. And I can say firsthand, anytime we need anything, involved in downtown, a project or an event, Kyle always says yes. So thank you so much for your support. And we have a few chairs that were able to come tonight and vice chairs. If you wouldn't mind coming up, I'd like to get a picture with y'all. You tell me, Adjournment. We also have the most supportive town manager for downtowns in the whole state, I might say. And Rory always comes to the events as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll do this too. Yeah.
Can we have a motion?
Oh, yes, I'm so moved.
Second.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Farrell, thank you. All of the favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Job.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you to all of our staff and volunteers that help with Main Street as well. They're the ones that do the real work and make the stuff happen. So appreciate that. Up next, National Public Works Week Proclamation. Come on. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to the sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Pittsboro. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government in the public sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. Whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and the children in Pittsboro to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest in understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Weeks sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now therefore I, Kyle Shipp, Mayor of the Town of Pittsboro, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim May 17 to 23rd, 2026 as Public Works Week in Pittsboro, North Carolina. I urge all citizens to join me with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designated to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our public health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate our Public Works Department a lot and especially improvements just all around town. And they're always on top of it and always suggesting improvements. So appreciate that.
We need a
And up
motion,
next, we
need a
have,
motion for that or not?
no, that's a proclamation.
Proclamation.
Yeah. Up next, we have a resolution recognizing the graduates of the Spring 2026 PBO 101 Citizens Academy. So if those students can join me up here. We'll say you still have to attend your last class, though. I understand there's one more, so. Yes.
Well, senioritis.
It usually gets people there. Yes.
Actually getting bigger, aren't they?
All right, big group. So this is, I already said the title, so I'll start reading. Whereas the Pittsboro 101 Citizens Academy is a town of Pittsboro civic engagement program giving residents a comprehensive understanding of local government across administration, finance, public works, parks and recreation, police, development services, downtown engineering and planning, communications, and governing board. And whereas participants invested more than 15 hours over 5 weeks, attending 100% of classes to expand civic knowledge and skills. And whereas their active involvement demonstrates determination to understand town operations, a desire to contribute to governance, and a dedication to a vibrant, engaged community and the democratic process. Whereas the program's success was made possible by town staff who gave their time to teach in the afternoons. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the board recognizes and commends the PBO 101 Citizens Academy graduates for exemplary civic engagement that strengthens our democracy. The board acknowledges the substantial time, effort, and diligence invested and applauds the graduates' successful completion. The board expresses its deepest gratitude to the town staff for their invaluable contributions. The board hereby lists and honors the individuals who have completed the PBO 101 Citizens Academy. And as I read your name, we will give you a certificate as well. Ron Covington.
Excuse me, first I'm saying the patty.
Congratulations. You too.
Oh, Sherry said to tell you hello.
Okay.
I just saw her recently. Thank you.
Wendy Everson. Adam Fair. Marion Gibson. Bob Gibson. Goodman. Billy Goodman. Robert Harnden. Margot High. Amanda Johnson. Jenny Knowlton. Steve McGregor. Tim Pemberton. Mike Roberson. Malia Sumney.
It's not.
Michelle Vitko. And Anna Woody. This resolution is effective upon adoption this 11th day of May. If I can get a motion.
Moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Bonitz. A second.
Second.
Commissioner Hunziker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you all for learning about the town.
All right. That completes our ceremonial items for this evening. Up next, we have Citizens Matters, and we will start with the manager's update.
Thanks, sir. Just start out, I was invited to join the 2006 Leadership Triangle Executive Program. So that starts in September. That's a multi-month training course that'll go through to the end of the year. So looking forward to that. The Town Hall Public Engagement Drop-In is scheduled for June 4th from 5:30 to 7. That's going to be at the Community House. And then some quick park updates. Night Farm Park, a lot of work going on there, improving that area. The shade structure should go up in the next couple of weeks, along with the shade structure at the dog park. Pop-up park also, that shade structure should be going up in a couple of weeks. Rock Ridge bathrooms are in process. They are doing research on what bathroom might work best up there since there are no utilities. And then lastly, Lewis Freeman, we got the easement approved with the county. And so construction should start there momentarily. Just got to wait for some trees to get cleared. And I believe Heather approved that change order last week. So all things moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is my update. The next Central Pines Rural Planning Organization meeting will be June 11th. I plan to attend that. On April 15th, I was able to attend the Town and State Dinner put on by the North Carolina League of Municipalities. And April 23rd, I was a participant in a panel on how housing happens, put on by the county and some other partners about affordable housing. So that was a really good opportunity and discussion. And then last week, May 5th through 7th, I was at the City Vision Conference in Raleigh this year. So North Carolina League of Municipalities training opportunity there. So glad to be able to do those. Commissioner Hunziker.
So over the past month, I've attended several events and meetings focused on housing, infrastructure, the environment, and community issues. I also attended How Housing Happens, which had your perspective, some other Habitat, I believe AHAC, and developers that worked on both nonprofit and market rate housing solutions for our challenge with affordable housing. At our recent AHAC meeting, we received a presentation from the Chatham County Housing Authority Director about affordable housing, HUD programs, and the challenges with our voucher system. And I was really surprised to learn that we don't have any HUD housing developments, and it relies entirely on a voucher program, of which we have a shortage of landlords willing to accept them. I'll be attending the upcoming Making the Math, the Housing and Development Summit breakfast to better understand the financial side of development and affordable housing. I attended Chatham Can's Mutual Aid in a Time of Climate Crisis and Social Vulnerability. It was a discussion on strengthening neighborhoods and community support during disasters and difficult times. And I'll be attending the upcoming Climate Solutions Fair on May 30th. This past Saturday, I attended the Robeson Creek Greenway Art and Storytelling installation with Commissioner John Bonitz. It was sponsored by the Chatham Arts Council, and it is such a unique experience. I just suggest everybody go down there, bring your phones, bring your earbuds, scan that QR code, and take a walk. It's just amazing. So well done. I also attended the Chatham County Bus Tour, great opportunity to experience the diversity of businesses, agriculture, arts, and everything else great that the county, and a lot of it is in Pittsboro, has to offer. And then finally, I held my monthly commissioner chat with Commissioner Bonitz this past weekend, where we discussed topics from flock cameras to upcoming developments to traffic and safety concerns around Hillsborough Street and the MOD.
Thank you.
It was a busy month.
Yes. Yeah. Commissioner Bonitz.
Thank you. Several things to update on. I also attended the art installation event on the Roberson Creek Greenway this past Saturday, as mentioned by Commissioner Hunziker. I was really impressed by the turnout. There were 28 people there, and for a Greenway event. I was also struck with gratitude for the many people, more than 24, who contributed audio clips to the artists' assemblage. It's an audio program, if you're not aware. And I'm very grateful also to Wendy Spitzer, a town resident, and the artist, the creator, and to the Chatham Arts Council, as well as our Parks and Rec Department for their collaboration. The Greenway looked great. Big thanks to staff for getting it ready and making it look real pretty for the crowd. I really highly recommend this experience to anyone with a cell phone and the ability to hear. Cheryl Shambly from the Arts Council described it as a placemaking event. And I was so glad that she said this because it's precisely the kind of thing that we need more of in Pittsboro. I would say 100-fold. Our downtown program is a great example of placemaking. But as we prepare to welcome tens of thousands more people to our community, new neighbors to Pittsboro, I think it's exactly the kind of thing that we can offer to help them understand how lovable our community is and the places that we truly love. I also participated in Commissioner Hunziker's community outreach event on Saturday at BMC Brewing. There were only a few people who attended, but it was a wide-ranging discussion of community concerns, including the large bacon tract development, the ways sprawl will drive up our taxes, pickleball facility planning, and EMT first responders. I learned a lot, and it was a good conversation. I'm grateful to Commissioner Hunziker for inviting me. In a formal capacity, my update on the Climate Change Advisory Committee. There will be a Climate Solutions Fair on May 30th at Lorax Lane, noon to 4 p.m. I want to encourage folks to come. The County Climate Change Advisory Committee is discussing planning for outreach in support of the county's climate action plan once that plan is completed. Additionally, CCAC is, staff actually, county staff have selected a contractor for energy audits on county buildings, some of which are in town, county-owned buildings. The biggest issue that has been the great focus of recent CCAC meetings is data centers. The committee is meeting with the county planning board and staff, giving guidance and input on energy and pollution concerns for data centers. The CCAC is also looking at existing ordinances and rules around the state and the nation. Overall, I'm very impressed. It seems the county is doing very rigorous work on this topic of data centers. Finally, and this is a bit of a departure and more in a personal vein, it's just a word about global petroleum markets. Because of my professional work, I pay attention to global petroleum markets and pricing, and I want to encourage everyone listening to anticipate price hikes. These price hikes will be coming in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Not just fuel, but food too, and many other things. It may be shocking. And I know many folks in Pittsboro are on tight budgets, which is why I feel I should speak up. I want to be clear that hoarding is not good, nor is it kind to our community. But adding another bag of rice or another bag of beans to your pantry might be a good idea. And importantly, I think we need to look out for one another. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Farrell.
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Foley.
Two self-enhancement seminars I attended, both affordable housing oriented presentations. Learned a lot, learned about how a developer isn't necessarily someone who builds or moves dirt. In the case of affordable housing, it's developer is an entity that coordinates all and communicates with everyone. Took that away from a seminar that I had in Marion, North Carolina this weekend. So exciting things to come. And that's all I have right now.
Thank you. Commissioner Thurber.
I don't have anything today.
Thank you. Okay, up next, we have public comment. We have 7 people signed up this evening. Please state your name and address at the start of your comments. There's a time limit of 3 minutes, which will be displayed on the screen. In the interest of time and fairness, it's the board's policy not to respond directly to comments during this period. Staff will follow up as appropriate. Any speaker with handouts, give them to the town clerk and they'll be distributed to the board at the conclusion of the meeting. Up first, we have Frank Castle, followed by McGear Pierce.
To state my name, Frank Castle. I live at 510 Oakwood Drive here in Pittsboro. Good evening, Mayor, Council, other sundry citizens. My name is Frank Castle, and I'm here tonight to voice my opposition to the flock cameras that have recently begun appearing in this community. I live here in Pittsboro. I shop in Pittsboro. I pay taxes in Pittsboro. I raise my children in Pittsboro, and I vote in Pittsboro. I've lived in the area for 13 years, the last 4 of which have been within the city limits. I object to the presence of these flock cameras for a number of reasons, including breaches of constitutional rights, data security, potential for use by bad actors, potential for misuse by government bodies beyond our local jurisdiction, and so on, many of which will be expanded on by some of these other people who are going to speak after me tonight. In the interest of time, I've decided to focus my remarks here on what it means in regards to the deterioration of community. The erosion of the social compact between the citizens and our government, who ought to be working towards one common goal, a city where the people, the environment, and the city itself can thrive. To my mind, these cameras are in direct opposition to this goal. They create a divide between citizens who are being watched without their consent and the government who is watching in the name of security. But security from whom? From whom or what is the threat that these cameras are here to protect us? Certainly, there are people who commit crimes in any community. I have no objection to the targeted and equitable enforcement of our laws. But these cameras are far from targeted. They treat all citizens as potential lawbreakers, waiting only for the potential to become the actual. It's as if a police officer is stationed at every camera location, diligently watching and making notes about every passerby. This is not a sign of a healthy community where the citizens and government are trusted teammates working towards a common goal. This is a sign of a community where the people are being viewed not as collaborative participants in our democratic government, but as foes of peace and stability. We are no longer on the same side working towards the same goal when the government watches with a dragnet eye, waiting for a crime to be committed. We're being positioned as adversaries rather than partners. When these issues come up, people inevitably return to the deep well of surveillance apologism, noting that if you don't do anything wrong, you don't have anything to hide. What this misses, of course, is the underlying assumption that people will do something wrong if they're not being watched. It suggests a mistrust of our neighbors, our fellow citizens, our friends, the very people who make up the fabric of our community. I don't want to live in a community like this. I want to be able to say that I'm a part of a community and that that community is working to make life better for everybody within it. With hope, with decency, with trust, with human kindness at its core. As I said at the start of these remarks, I'm very distressed about these cameras for a number of reasons, any of which could be a reason on its own to remove them. But to my mind, this is the most immediate. If we allow ourselves to be treated as potential enemies of law and order first and active participants in the co-creation of our community, including security, second, we have lost the sacred connection between a government and her citizens. I hope you will reconsider the deployment of these cameras and return to a world where we are partners in this messy, beautiful, complex, and ongoing project of making this the best community we can. Thank you all for listening.
Up next, Alan Catt.
Hello, my name is Nairi Pierce and I live at 160 X-Line Williams Drive. And I'm here today to speak against the flock cameras. I was here at last month's meeting when the police chief spoke, and I left that meeting with a genuine belief that Chief Shorty has an amazing and sincere desire to protect and serve all the people of Pittsboro. I'd never met him before. I was like, whoa, I really trust this guy. But in his remarks, he did say that he cannot protect the data that Flocks collects about us from other government agencies. And I would like to say that if that data is not there, then if it is not collected in the first place, then it cannot be used by other government agencies. Additionally, he promised he would do everything possible to make sure that that data was not misused within the Pittsboro Police Department, and I totally believe him. But he also admitted that, in his words, people are human and will do things they shouldn't. There is no Chief Shorty monitoring other government agencies or flock employees. They have no accountability. Again, if that data is not there, then it cannot be misused or abused. I was also at last month's Chatham County Commissioners meeting where the commissioners voted 4-1 to cancel their contract with Flock. I want to read to you something that Commissioner Karen Howard said that I think she said it better than I can say it. And I hope that you, as fellow elected officials, will think about her words. Quote, "The wonderful thing that I know is that our sheriffs and our police departments have been solving crime and addressing the very low level of crime that we actually have in Chatham County for many years without flock cameras and will continue to do so." She went on to say, "The language of the contract lends itself to the potential for abuse. And why would we put the county manager in the position where we allow that abuse to continue or the risk for that abuse to continue while they work on language that might be acceptable to us in the future? The appropriate thing to do is what we have done, to halt the contract. Yes, there is an expense, but the cost and the expense are not equal. Losing that money is a small price to pay for the risk to the public of abuse or misuse of the data that is being collected." End quote. I hope that you will hear her words and decide to do as the county has done. They decided to protect the citizens of Chatham County, and I ask that you do so too. Please end the contract with Flock. Thank you for your time and your service to the community.
Yeah, 180 Woolly Worm Drive. Hello again. Thank you, Chief Shorty, for your presentation last month. It was incredibly informative. Trust but verify. I went ahead and checked all the Flock logs published by both Flock as an organization and the police department as part of their transparency effort. It does appear that we've reduced the number of networks we interact with from over 5,000 to only 315. So that means that we only have to trust every single chief law enforcement officer in all 315 distinct jurisdictions in North Carolina. I do actually trust Chief Shorty. I trust that he actually audits all 2,700 reports that get issued per year on our cameras, and that the 77,000 unique vehicles that have been observed by our cameras in the past month are safe under his watchful eye. However, Buncombe County seems to have a different opinion. Pittsboro PD treats all of our flock data as investigative data. Therefore, Terry Bailey with the town of Pittsboro does not release that information under the Freedom of Information Act. Buncombe County, however, being part of the network, has no such obligation and will happily release flock data to you if you ask for it. I've gone ahead and provided each of the commissioners with a copy of information provided me by other law enforcement agencies. I agree with you. We can not control people when they are being people. But unfortunately, while every single one of our officers swears the oath we just heard earlier today to protect the constitutional rights, citizens of Pittsboro, citizens of the United States, we cannot assume that other people with access to this data will do the same thing. We cannot trust that some random clerk at another county won't just release all the data that they've gone ahead and pulled from our system. Or that, we can't trust a corporation to not release this information. Because here's the thing. In your presentation, you mentioned that we bought 11 cameras. Hillsborough can tell you we did not buy 11 cameras. We're renting 11 cameras from Flock. Flock still maintains possession of them. They tell us that we own the data. That's clearly not true the second it goes out the door. We're sharing it 315 other organizations. I don't know them by name. You don't know them by name. I trust your judgment here in this town. I don't trust every single other organization in North Carolina. And I don't trust Flock as a company. They have previously shown in Hillsborough that when they canceled their contract, Flock told them they had to keep the cameras up. They had to put sheets in front of the cameras until the contract actually finished and expired and the cameras were taken down. We don't own these devices. We rent them. And we're selling our citizens' data to a private company. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Regan Hill, followed by Jessamine Hyatt.
My name is Regan Hill. I live at 180 Wetland Drive. Here to speak against flock cameras. I believe that Pittsboro must stop using flock cameras immediately. These cameras collect data on everyone, not just suspected criminals. This is a mass warrantless location tracking. Fourth Amendment violation. Shut it down now. Stop it now, disable the system, delete the data, and do not restart it with the Public safety matters, but safety should not come at the cost of turning every resident into a tracked subject. Communities deserve solutions that respect both security and constitutional rights. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mayor and Commissioners, staff, my name is Jessamine Hyatt. I live at 114 Bynum Hill. And thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I also here to ask you to cancel your contract with Flock. I appreciate the well-researched comments of many of my neighbors. So I'm just here to add something from my personal perspective, which is that my parents were Christian missionaries in East Germany in the 70s and 80s. And so I grew up with firsthand experience of government surveillance. The East German secret police had a file on my dad that they drew from the various forms of surveillance that they used at the time. And in fact, they were working on planning to bust my dad's mission just before the wall came down. That is not what this country is about or has been about. Then again, it also was not what Germany was about until it was. I know that that was not your intention in signing this contract with Flock, though I do think it is the intention of some of the money behind Flock that is really driving this across the country. And so I think that you need to think long and hard before building the infrastructure that would make it easy for a future government to practice this kind of surveillance on American people, on the children in this room. So that, again, is why I'm here to ask you to cancel your contract with Flock in order to keep all of us free. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Tyler Patterson.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Tyler Patterson, 118 Bynum Hill. Glad to hear some new voices tonight. I'm going to keep this brief. I'm speaking again about town's use of Flock surveillance cameras. Just like Alan, I do trust our local police, and I do believe that the chief here absolutely means the best for this community. Chatham County Commissioners recently chose to end their contract with Flock. And I think that their decision on this deserves serious consideration. While these systems do serve a legitimate law enforcement purpose locally, the deeper issue is that they're creating this massive privately controlled network of behavioral data. These networks are owned, aggregated, and increasingly analyzed by entities far beyond the reach or accountability of this local government. Companies like Flock offer assurances about privacy, ownership, and limited use of this data. But those assurances are undermined by the broad and slippery contractual liberties they reserve for themselves regarding the data access, sharing, retention, and future use. That ambiguity does not exist by accident. There may come a day when that kind of data is used not only for policing, but to pressure or discourage behavior that conflicts with corporate, political, or institutional interests, even on a national level. And if that sounds unthinkable today, I would simply remind everyone how many times throughout history the unthinkable became very, very real, and it happens one step at a time. We still have an opportunity to step back and think carefully before this kind of surveillance infrastructure becomes so widespread and normalized that it can no longer be realistically challenged or controlled. In the not so distant future, in towns all over this country, we will be looking back on this right now as a pivotal moment, one that changes the direction and shape of our society. And we should be very careful about the kind of world that we're building for our children and grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, information items. We're going to start our presentation on the community budget survey.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Commissioners. I'm Caitlin Murphy, Communications Director with the Town of Pittsboro, here to provide y'all an overview on the fiscal year 26 to 27 community budget survey with a focus on the in-town responses that we did receive. You all received printed handouts of all the raw survey data last month at the annual budget retreat. But again, we just wanted to do a deeper dive into the in-town responses. Thank you, Robert. My apologies. I used to run it at 8%. Okay, so we're gonna go over the purpose of the survey, how it was conducted, a look at the in-town resident feedback and some interpretations we can take, as well as some takeaways. So the goal of this was to gather input from the community on their budget priorities and overall satisfaction with town services. It is important with any survey to remember it doesn't fully represent all viewpoints of the community. Treat it more as a pulse of engaged residents. However, it does offer directional insight that we can use to help guide us. And there are some themes throughout the answers as well. So the survey was conducted in the month of March via SurveyMonkey. We advertised for it on social media, radio, on News on the Hill, via press releases, and also on the town's website. There was a pop-up on every page of the town website that was like, hey, take our survey, here's the link. So thank you to staff for being patient with that pop-up. It does get annoying if you're on the website every day. But we gathered information on demographics, perception of service quality and value, preferred budget priorities, as well as willingness to support a tax rate adjustment. We did receive a total of 132 responses. 69 of those selected that they were in-town residents. 61 selected outside town limits, and 2 selected that they were not sure. Last year, the survey was open for 3 months and it received 76 responses. So we did see some better numbers, even though the survey was open for a shorter amount of time. But for next year, I'd like to open the survey in January, leave it open for 3 months, as well as utilize the kiosks in our parks and flyers downtown to try to reach those that may not be as active online. But all of these responses were anonymous. We did not get names, addresses, or other identifying information. So there's no way for us to go back and confirm if they are indeed in town or out of town. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so predominantly we heard from residents that have been in the community for 10 or plus years who own a home and are ages 65 or older. So they can reflect institutional knowledge of town changes since they have been here for so long. But of course, it underrepresents the younger demographic, those who rent and those who may have recently moved to town. So perceptions of living in Pittsboro. I think it's great to see that all 69 rated it as excellent, good, or fair. So we had no one say it was poor. But compared to 3 years ago, we had 40 say it was better or about the same. And then likelihood to recommend Pittsboro as a place to live. Received good satisfaction in the very likely and somewhat likely areas. But these results, I think, signal a community in transition. Even with concerns, residents do still believe Pittsboro is a good place to live, which could suggest dissatisfaction is targeted to specific issues, not systemic or affecting the entire town. So then we broke up some different service categories and asked residents to rate them on a scale from very satisfied to no experience. So public safety definitely received very high response satisfaction. Our police and fire are clear strengths of our community, and we should certainly continue to maintain those services. Downtown and public art, overall strong positive response rate there as well. Downtown is definitely an identity anchor for our community. And these numbers align with the open-ended feedback that we saw about events and the vibrancy of downtown as well. Environmental preservation, pretty high neutral response rate there. This definitely signals, I think, uncertainty and concerns tied to growth. So our climate action plan that y'all adopted last fall could offer some insight and guidance on ways we can offer and improve in that category. Okay, parks and recreation. Similar themes here. Residents are pretty satisfied with our parks. Some notable neutral and somewhat dissatisfied responses as well. So generally positive. Our residents certainly value our parks here very highly, and expectations for what's being offered are continuing to grow. Transportation in terms of public transit and connectivity, a lot of neutral and no experience response rate. So the town is clearly trying to expand our public transit options, but it's a challenge that we are needing to overcome. The town is committed to the sidewalk connectivity, greenway connectivity, and the community would love to see that. Public works overall, high satisfaction of these services. We should continue, I think, to streamline our offerings, make it easier for those who need services to request them. But they are seeing good numbers with their new online service request form. So definitely want to keep up the good work there. Solid waste collection, trash and recycling. Just in general, we were trying to gauge the GFL who does our trash pickups. Overall, pretty satisfied. There are some notable low response rates as well. I view this as a quiet, essential service that's really noticed when it does not work well. People are very passionate about their trash and recycling. So we should continue to work with GFL on communicating delays and truck issues and doing the best we can to try to inform residents to avoid those frustrations there.
I'm sorry, Caitlin, I'm the one that calls all the time. People call me, I call you guys.
Okay, perceptions of growth. So 40 out of the 69 rated it as excellent, good, or fair. So even the residents that like Pittsboro overall do have concerns about how growth is being handled. We can interpret this as not necessarily being anti-growth, but as a signal to the importance of managed and balanced growth as we move forward. All right, funding priorities. So all those areas we covered, we asked them, which one would you like to receive the highest funding priority? So number 1, Parks and Rec, environmental preservation came in at number 2, public works at number 3. So in that question, the residents are prioritizing the quality of life infrastructure services with a theme I see of protecting what we have while we grow. And then when asked areas of support for a tax increase, Environmental preservation ranked number 1, followed by public safety and parks and recreation. So again, similar themes there. Those spending supports do align closely with the priorities. And then when asked, would you be willing to support your top funding area with a tax increase? 30 of them said no, 21 said depends on the amount, 15 said yes, and 3 said not sure. So I do think there's some openness there, but it has conditional support and would definitely need to be tied to a clear priority and outcome. Yes, sir.
Then could I interrupt your flow and ask you to restate the questions for those last two graphs?
Yeah. So out of those categories, environmental preservation, public safety, parks and rec, public works, downtown, transportation, solid waste, which one would you support a tax increase for? And the ones that scored the highest were environmental preservation, public safety, and parks and rec. And then when asked if you would fund that top area with a tax increase, 30 of them said no, 21 said it depended on the amount of the increase, 15 said yes, they would support an increase for that funding priority, and 3 said they weren't sure. So then we also wanted to include some questions in terms of how residents receive information and if they were satisfied with opportunities. So we did have an overall positive response with some neutral and dissatisfied responses. This is a good opportunity for us to continue to raise awareness and inform residents how to engage with the town, the chance to amplify engagement pathways and increase visibility of those options. And then the mode of receiving town info. So social media ranked number 1, word of mouth number 2, town website and email alerts tied for the number 3 spot. So the digital channels and platforms are certainly critical for our outreach, but word of mouth does remain powerful in a town like Pittsboro, which I think reinforces the importance of clear, shareable messaging that's easy to understand to help avoid the game of telephone where things can be misinterpreted. And then we did want to provide some open-ended questions where residents could free type their thoughts. And so when asked about things the town does well, there's some really good responses here related to downtown character and events, parks and rec, public safety. So these are the anchors of our community, and it does align with the data that we saw throughout the survey. So good work being done here. And then areas for improvement, we're always trying to improve. The most consistent concerns are related to growth and infrastructure, walkability and connectivity, parks expansion, and environmental protection. So I think those concerns aren't random. There's a theme there. They're concerns that are tied to the pressures of growth. So we all know that Pittsboro is a special place. Residents love Pittsboro, and because of that, are increasingly concerned about how it is changing. It's a clear call for thoughtful growth management, investments in quality of life infrastructure, and careful consideration to environmental stewardship. And then I always plug this slide whenever I have a chance. Please connect with us on social media and visit our website, pittsboro.nc.gov to sign up for email and text message alerts. Any questions?
Any questions on the survey?
Yeah, can I just say that this is probably one of the best presentations that I have seen. It's just even visually, it is so good. You did a great job of analyzing the information. The only thing I would like to say is I don't feel 69 participants really gives us a pulse. And so I would just like to encourage, I think the slide 13 was the mode of receiving town info. Most people said social media. So I'd like to encourage maybe looking out to working with downtown, reaching out to HOAs to see if they can help push it, churches, the library, and schools. Schools would be a great way to get this out so we could really get a good pulse, but otherwise this is really nice.
Thank you, and I agree. I think something I've seen just in my role here is we get a lot of input from county residents, which is great. But sometimes when you're talking about certain things like taxpayer dollars for residents of Pittsboro, I'd love to hear more directly from the in-town community. So any ideas, feel free to always let me know. Okay, any other questions?
So it's been 3 years since the last survey. Do we anticipate we'll replicate this in the next year?
Yes, I will be sending it out in January of 2027.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Up next, we have a presentation on the general fund fee schedule.
Oh, those are just informational items.
Right. Any questions on the informational items? The general fund fee schedule or the capital improvement plan? Cool. Okay. Up next, we have public hearings, and the first public hearing is the manager's recommended budget for the fiscal year 2026-2027. Heather? Sure are. Now,
I'll make a motion to enter the public hearing.
thank you for your
Annual budget.
Bonitz. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Hunziker. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Commissioners. I'm Heather Meacham. I'm the Assistant Town Manager and Finance Director, and I'm here to introduce the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget. Caitlin's just working on getting the presentation up. Our goals for the upcoming fiscal year are to continue our current service levels with an aim towards efficiency and improvement. We want to retain, attract, and provide educational and training opportunities for our high-performing staff. And we want to do that with no increase to the tax rate and no appropriation of fund balance. Hold on, it's going to take me a minute to get to the presentation.
Yeah, that's the wrong.
Okay. Additionally, we want to maintain a responsible fund balance and a disciplined approach to align our limited resources with our highest priorities.
Want the budget?
It should be in there. Pardon? Is it separate attachment or no? Okay. You have the presentation in your packet, but it should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Costs do continue to increase both for personnel expenses and other operating expenses. Our sanitation contract is increasing 2.4% due to inflationary increase. As a review, general fund revenue sources are property taxes, motor vehicle taxes, tax revenue, sales and use tax, other taxes and fees for garbage and planning and engineering services. The assumed tax rate, collection rate for our ad valorem tax revenue is 98.5%. And it is estimated that 1 penny of tax assessments is equal to $185,261. Any projects that are not completed in the current fiscal year, those remaining funds will be carried over at the July 2026 meeting into the new fiscal year. In this version of the budget, we were estimating an 18% increase in major medical expenses. This will change in the final version of the budget that we will present at the June meeting. I don't know the total amount, it will decrease, but we are just finalizing those expected costs, but we were able to find some additional savings.
Salary adjustments for cost of living in the budget is 3%. The percentage the town is obligated to pay into retirement for employees is also increasing. This is set annually by the local governmental employees retirement system board. These rates are in line with the rate stabilization policy that was adopted in 2021. So for this upcoming fiscal year, the proposed budget is $13,800,300. And again, this is actually a decrease to what our current fiscal year budget is because we are not appropriating any fund balance. This proposed budget includes funding for new positions in the form of an assistant project manager, development services division manager, over planning, a planner 3 or a senior planner, and a downtown marketing and operations coordinator. The last 2 slides in the slide deck show the 10-year history of the property tax rate. So this shows the property tax rate over the last 10 years. The only change in the last 10 years has been to round up the tax rate in 2022. And then the last slide shows the value of the penny increasing over the last 10 years. So between this current fiscal year and the upcoming fiscal year, that increase is approximately 8.17%. And that is just the growth in the town. Additionally, I wanted to highlight the changes to the budget between the version that you saw at the board retreat and the version that you got in your packet tonight. We added $10,000 to outsource review under engineering, and there was an offsetting $10,000 in revenue because that's a fee that we charge, we collect, and then we pay our outsource company. We removed $9,000 from buildings and grounds under the parks budget. We decreased the allocation for health insurance from the 40% that I had in the version at the budget retreat to the 18% that's in this version, and that will go down again. We removed an open finance position, but we will be seeking to add that back in a future budget. We added funds to downtown for a project management software. We added funds to IT services for some additional subscriptions. We increased the allocation to the fire department from the increase of 3% in the retreat budget to 7% with the additional payment of $51,000 for the ladder truck payment. We added funding for additional legal services if we need to contract out and ask some additional questions of another legal advisor. We increased collection fee to be paid to the county for property tax collection. We increased the ABC revenue due to a proposed 90-10 split in this budget versus the 60-40 split that we have in the current budget year. We added $15,000 for the Welcome Center. I moved the $75,000 that I had for the water study from capital outlay to contracted services, just because that's where it fits. And then I added funding for the additional positions that I just listed. So that's all the information that I have, but does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Heather?
I have just one, Heather. The project carryover, what kind of monies are we expecting to carry over?
So it would affect any contracts that we currently have outstanding. So we just signed a contract for marketing services. So anything that we have not expended out of that contract will be carried over. We also would potentially have, if there are any facade grants that we have not paid out by the end of the fiscal year, those would also be carried over.
Really not a lot, and
it's not typically significant.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the group health insurance and what you've done?
So we were getting quotes to stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield was going to be upward, initially 49% increase. They came back with a better rate of approximately like 38%. So we've been looking at other insurance companies and we will be switching providers. So we're staying with our broker, but we're going to be switching to Aetna Insurance because they gave us the best price. We also will be having to change the deductibles that we are offering. So we will be increasing the deductibles we're going to be offering actually 4 different options for employees. So, but they will have an increased deductible.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we were trying to manage not only the increase to the town, but really more of the increase to the employees, because the town pays fully for the employee, but the employees have to pay for any additional, whether it's a spouse or their children. And so that increase was significant with staying with the $500 deductible.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. We have one person signed up for the public hearing, Chris Booton. Say your name and address.
My name is Chris Bowden. I'm at 54 Leslie Court. Good evening, Mayor Shipp, town commissioners and staff. I would like to encourage you to consider in future budgets to incorporate a tree canopy assessment into any budget plans, whether to be used just for the town and ETJ limits or to be used in conjunction with any future tree canopy assessment for the county. I searched the town database to see if this was already done or if it was proposed, but I was not able to find anything. A tree canopy assessment is a keystone measurement. It provides a clear understanding of tree cover across an entire municipality. This type of analysis would provide a baseline definition, map, and system of measurement of tree canopy cover for our entire community, not just for individual standalone development requests. When these are done in isolation per development, it is easy to lose sight of the broader impact of mature tree and understory coverage loss across our community environmental systems. A tree canopy assessment would also support consistent scientific measurement and principles across the variable terrain that we have throughout the town and the ETJ. And it would support town priorities for smart growth, stormwater mitigation, and for public health. There have been a lot of scientific studies recently to show the public health benefits of tree canopy coverage, heart health, mental health, and for mitigating the heat island effect when you clear trees and you're left with concrete to soak up all of the sun's solar energy. Wake County completed and published their tree canopy assessment in 2023 after 10 years of growth, an increase of 25% in their county in that 10-year period. We plan on doubling our entire county in the next 20 years, but we're gonna stuff everybody in between this building and the Haw River, not throughout the entire counties. I do encourage you, please consider doing a tree canopy assessment. Thank you for this opportunity, and also thank you ahead of the next agenda item for considering putting wetland definitions in our UDU. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is extraordinary and it's certainly not usual, but I would like to ask, would you happen to know, since you brought this up in the context of budget, would you happen to know what the city of Raleigh paid for this study or what our town might need to?
I do not, however, I did just happen to find this study on the NC Resilience Exchange. I believe it was through the NC Urban Forest Portal, talking about Wake Forest. That's how I found out about their tree canopy assessment. And I would be more than happy to give it to the clerk for you all to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No one else is signed up for public comments. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Hunziker. Second, Commissioner Farrell. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Up next, take 5-minute breaks. Call a 5-minute recess.
I make a motion. I second that. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Welcome back. Up next, we have a public hearing on ZTA 2026-05, section 12.12 definitions. I will take a motion to go into public hearing.
Moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Hunziker. Second,
I second.
Commissioner Thurber. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. May?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners, as well as staff. Thank you for the time, and we appreciate the assistance getting this cleaned up in the UDO. I was just told to make this interesting. Definitions.
Good luck.
So we're on part 2 of 4 parts for definitions to change across the year. This section specifically has items that address areas that do not have full updates until later in the year. So these are specific pieces or chunks that don't go with the primary set of definitions, with the transportation section, with the infrastructures updates. They're just basics what go already in the actual UDO. The one I do want to point out is for the built upon area. You asked about this last time. This was the one following the impervious area originally, and it keeps to that same context of what built upon area is. The additional areas in here is the separation from clustering for conservation subdivision and actual clustering. So there's 2 different definitions instead of referring to one, which it is not the same thing. And making sure that there are not duplicate definitions of accessory dwelling units or any other definitions. Clarifying that the encroachment that was originally in the UDO was actually for floodplain and floodway, not for an actual encroachment. There's 2 separate definitions and distinctions that need to occur, because an encroachment can be any advancement beyond limits. Buffers, setbacks, those are all different types of encroachments. Definition of the ETJ, it was not actually included in the original set, but we do specify that portion. Use of gross land area and the net tract area, 2 different pieces instead of just one item. Definitions of what level of service is and what those include. So for future updates, that item is already there. And since we have the traffic impact analysis and we have safety analysis, those items are always discussed as part of that. So we want to make sure that those definitions are clear. Open space for conservation is different than standard open space. That's called out specifically to separate between the 2. And then additional definitions as necessary for thoroughfares, minor, major, are included in there as well. And timber harvesting after the oak wood, we want to make sure that's clear what the difference between a timber harvesting and development. And then unconstrained lands, this is an item that did come up, and it was specifically for electrical transmission, but there are other options, such as if it's conservation area for an open space, that would be potentially a constraint. It's not, you don't want an unconstrained area that you can use to be located within that section, making sure that they're not included.
Can you give an example of that?
So the buffer sections within the Jordan rules would be a good area that we say those are conservation. If we actually noted them as a conservation area and in a conservation subdivision, that would be one example. They should not be touched unless they're a very specific impact, if they were part of a conservation open space. Versus also the electrical transmission lines. So Duke Energy has a set of rules, what they will allow in there, because they're not protected lines when they're actually transmission lines. So there are certain development pieces you can't have in there. No structures, no anything physical that's raised that will impact their ability to access. Maximum width of 12 feet for a trail, it's a walking trail within that section. So those are items like they're very limited what they can and can't do within those sections. Those are constraints, unconstrained not within specific areas. And then addition of isolated wetland and a contiguous wetland surface connection. Those are two after the 2023 changes from the Farm Act. That now has been updated even all the way through the state, so we are making sure that is incorporated in here. What we are allowed to regulate, you'll see with the next section. About as interesting as I can make it.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions? All right. No one was signed up for this public hearing, so I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Move.
Thank you, Commissioner Foley. Second, Commissioner Bonitz. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Passes. Up next, we have a public hearing on ZTA 2020. Adopt. Take a motion to adopt the ordinance amending the Town of Pittsboro Unified Development Ordinance ZTA 2026-05.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Bonitz.
Seconded.
Second, Commissioner Hunziker. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Up next, we have a public hearing for ZTA 2026-06, section 4.5 wetland protection standards. I'll take a motion to go into the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Thurber. Second. Second, sorry, Commissioner Farrell. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. May.
Again, I'm not. So this section is implemented to correct for the 2023 Farm Act and making sure that we actually outline what we require so that it follows the North Carolina rules under 15A NCAC 02B.02674B. Wetlands adjacent to surface waters or within 50 feet of the surface waters shall be considered as part of the riparian buffer, but are regulated pursuant to 15A NCAC 02H0506. That's which is the water quality certification. So wetlands that are within that 50-foot buffer for our riparian buffers and the Jordan Lake rules are considered part of that buffer. Therefore, the 50-foot buffer is to extend around those wetlands and to ensure that they are protected along with those riparian buffers correctly. And this follows the same standard. It follows other jurisdictions. We are not buffering isolated wetlands. That language is been outlined clear in this section for the update, making sure that we are following the federal and the state requirements. And this allows clear clarity. This is not really a vested sense as it follows what was already in the rules for the Jordan and makes it simpler and easy to find right in front of them. Any questions?
These wetlands that are adjacent to regulated waterways, how are they delineated?
So they are delineated usually by field inspection. It can be done with certification during the stream inspection process and that delineation and determination. And it also can be done by state or environmental group. They would do that during the walk. Basically, if you can walk to that water, it is part of the water itself. And if there's no dry land in between that stream and that wetland section, it's part of the identification. They would be mapped out just like you do the center line of the stream or the top of bank, and then added to the maps accordingly.
I was imagining that there might be some seasonality to changes in.
That will be the case, and it's usually based on some of the structure of the stream. So they'll take into account the ordinary high water table and the seasonal high water table of both the jurisdictional stream and the area itself. So you will see by the vegetation, the soils, they all work together, especially in the floodplain sections.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do we have a process for monitoring these reference standards for changes and then updating as needed, or how do we?
This one would automatically follow the riparian. And if there's any changes, we would do the change at the same time, which is why we go to the 50, because that's what our buffer requirement is. We would update the buffer requirement, we would update this at the same time. And really, it doesn't have an update unless the state or federal force the update, which is what happened in 2023 in the Farm Act.
Other questions? All right. There's no one signed up to speak at this public hearing. So I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Hunziker. Second, Commissioner Bonitz. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then I'll take a motion to adopt the ordinance amending the Town of Pittsboro Unified Development Ordinance ZTA 2026-06.
So moved.
Commissioner Bonitz,
Second.
second, Commissioner Thurber. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Up next, public hearing for ZTA 2026-08, section 10.4.17. Annexation procedure and table of contents. I'll take a motion to enter the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Hunziker. Second, Commissioner Bonitz. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
This is the voluntary annexation process. Originally, the section was labeled annexation review. We're swapping it out for the voluntary annexation procedures so that it clearly states what's in the state requirements. Under 160A31, that's contiguous voluntary annexation. 60A-58.1 is the satellite annexation. And those are noted within the sections as where those requirements are for, so that directly tells them what the process is. Voluntary annexation means that it is a legislative vote. So from this group, you would actually do that approval, it will go through you. Permissive, not mandatory, and it is a vested rights cannot be revoked. So not revoking any plans that have been approved. It is just the condition of being annexed into the town. And there's not automatic entitlement or approval. So that's why it's automatically legislative. Are there any questions or concerns about this section in addition?
Just one minor item. It's labeled voluntary annexation with procedures crossed out, but most of them have procedures in the title.
The review is crossed out with procedures on my copy.
Procedures is crossed out in this copy.
I will fix that. That is, it actually should say voluntary annexation procedures review is actually crossed out on this one. All right. I'll make a note of that. We'll make that additional change.
This was not in the originally, it's not in the UDO, and you're applying this to the UDO.
It had a holding spot is what it had in the UDO, and we want to actually put the language in so it goes back to the state requirements.
Help me with holding.
It literally said like placeholder in the language in the UDO. This is to get rid of that little placeholder in the UDO section.
Okay, so it's like a
Literally said.
administrative. Okay, we're gonna think about this type of thing, or what is the placeholder?
I don't know why they put placeholder in originally. They just stuffed it in.
You want this incorporated into UDO because right now it's not, it's ambiguous or confusing.
Yes, and it's easier for someone to read the rules, figure out exactly where they need to go.
Good.
Additional questions?
Yeah, so a couple of things. You mentioned satellite annexations, and I'm not seeing that described here, but that was a hot issue that I think is separate from this a year ago. But we're not addressing satellite annexation with this procedure.
We're just the actual voluntary annexation process, not individual pieces of which of the two. They're called out by section, which they follow the state regulatory. So 31 is the contiguous, and then 58.1 is satellite. So basically it refers to the requirements for the state in each of those areas of the annexation.
Okay, so this does outline procedure for both.
Yes, it follows state rules.
It's the same procedure.
Yes.
And in that procedure, once a voluntary annexation reaches the board for a vote after hearing, et cetera, does the board have the opportunity to either reject or delay an annexation request based on concerns about public health, safety, and welfare?
Yes, they do. They have to be reasons that are supported. You may ask for additional information, everything from
extending utilities and the availability of the utilities, fiscal concerns, land use and zoning expectations, if there's opposition politically, growth management concerns, infrastructure capacity limitations, environmental constraints, pending roadway or watershed issues, or disagreement over the intensity of the development itself. But it cannot circumvent items that are allowed within the UDO based on right.
What it can't do is override what is already there, that's already zoned, correct?
Correct. They would have to rezone if they wish to change the zoning requirements.
Any other questions? There was no one signed up for this public hearing, so I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrell. Second, Commissioner Thurber. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Take a motion to adopt the ordinance amending the Town of Pittsboro Unified Development Ordinance CTA 2026-08 with the clarification about the procedures in the title.
So moved.
Second, Commissioner Hunziker. Second, Commissioner Bonitz. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And up next, we have a public hearing on ZTA 2026-09, section 3.3.4, accessory use structure table. I'll take a motion to enter the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Thurber. Second, Commissioner Bonitz. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Last one, I promise, at least for today. The purpose of this one is to add the ability to put dwelling units that are accessory within a neighborhood mixed use center and in with a community mixed use center. Anywhere we have residential properties in section for that zoning or zoning should have the ability to have those attached or unattached for accessory dwelling units. This only, it goes to those two specific areas. No additional items were added for our 12M, any reservations or any of the commercial that I'm looking for and manufacturing. And so they're only in the two that have additional residential. Is there any questions about the two areas?
Okay. No one has signed up for this public hearing, so I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Bonitz.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Hunziker. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right, and I'll take a motion to adopt the ordinance amending the Town of Pittsboro Unified Development Ordinance ZTA 2026-09.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Bonitz. Second, Commissioner Foley. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
All right, up next, we have a request for the flock safety ALPR system. Recommendation that I put out there is to continue the use of the existing flock safety ALPR system through the end of the current contract period, subject to the following conditions. No additional cameras, expanded sharing, or added flock features without board approval. Continued prohibition on use for traffic enforcement, immigration enforcement, reproductive care investigations, facial recognition, or the monitoring of individuals or gatherings. Continued 30-day data retention unless preserved for a specific case or evidentiary purpose. Continued monthly internal audits of all searches. Continued public reporting, including the usage policy and outcome information currently available through the town's flock transparency portal. A board update in August 2026 regarding the usage, case outcomes, data sharing, audit findings, complaints, and policy conformance. And a board decision in November 2026 on renewal, modification, replacement, or discontinuation before the January 2027 contract end date.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this with the mayor's recommendation as written.
Motion, is there a second? Second, Commissioner Hunziker. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Farrell, go ahead.
I know this is a very big subject to numerous people in town and board members. I'm just going to read a little note that I wrote and pass their comments on to someone else. But I ask my fellow commissioners to consider Mayor Shipp's recommendations. These cameras have proven to be a tool and an asset to the Pittsboro Police Department as they deter, prevent, and solve crimes and situations with their use. Our neighborhoods and developments are safer as wrongdoers hesitate to enter and look around. We have heard from numerous citizens from Siler City, Silcoat, Moncure, Pittsboro, Bynum, and other areas. I remind us that our responsibility is to the citizens and taxpayers of Pittsboro. We heard the word monitor numerous times. Every person that spoke, I asked my question is, what about your cell phones? What about computers? What about the toll roads? Ring phones, cameras at Food Line, Lowe's, your convenience store cameras. Where does it end? I'm asking you to support Chief Johnson and the Pittsboro Police Department to continue their work until at this time we can revisit this contract, review it, revise it, and rewrite it. Like I said, I hope the support from our board can support our police station. I have one letter here that was sent to me today. I'm going to read it. He could not be here. It was from a local businessman right here in town. My name is Bert Whelan, owner of Smart Cars by Whelan, one of the oldest businesses still operating in Pittsboro, North Carolina, or at least one of the oldest. I'm writing to express my support for keeping the flock camera system in our community. Last week on Thursday night, a truck was stolen from my business. Thankfully, law enforcement was able to recover the vehicle by Saturday. From my understanding, the flock camera system played a major role in helping identify and locate the individuals involved. As a local business owner, I strongly believe these cameras are an important tool for protecting businesses, residents, and property throughout Pittsboro. In my opinion, the flock cameras are not a concern for ordinary law-abiding citizens. Rather, they serve as a deterrent and investigative tool against criminal activity. I would also like to share a personal example. My 84-year-old mother-in-law lives near flock camera on Park Drive. After recently having to evict her son-in-law, she has been fearful that he may return. The presence of these cameras give her an added sense of security and peace of mind. I would ask each of you to consider, how would you feel if your own elderly family member living in these concerns? I believe the flock system provides an added layer of safety that benefits our entire community. Finally, I would like to thank Detective Bruno for her outstanding effort and professionalism shown in recovering our truck. Thank you for your time and consideration. Bert Whelan, owner of Smart Cars by Whelan. I'll just say that, I'm not a expert in technology, but I do support Pittsboro Fire Department. I believe Shorty, Chief Johnson and his department is doing very well with the mechanics of these cameras. And I'm sure that I'm not going to put Chief Johnson on the spot, but I'm sure that there's numerous cases right now that's being solved by these cameras. So I ask the board to revise, revisit, and let's look over this contract. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
You.
I'll let you go first.
So I prepared something too, because I don't want to leave anything out. And so while campaigning, and even after being elected, I've continued to hold regular meetings with residents to listen to their concern. And these are residents within the town of Pittsboro. And consistently, one of the issues that continues to come up is flock cameras. And over the past 6 months, that concern has grown. And what stands out to me most is that this issue transcends political affiliation. It's not a left versus right or pro-police or not pro-police. It is a privacy and trust issue. And in a recent poll conducted online, residents favored removing these cameras nearly 2 to 1. And any concerns surrounding ALPR technology have also reached a national bipartisan level with Representative Massey introducing a bipartisan surveillance accountability act aimed at placing limits and warrant requirements on technologies, including ALPR cameras. And this is not something, this discussion is not just happening in Pittsboro, it's happening all across the state, across the country. Municipalities are reevaluating or ending their contracts with Flock due to the lack of privacy protections and continued examples of misuse and abuse of this technology. Even our own county recently moved to end its contract with Flock. And concerns have become so significant nationally that Amazon's Ring cameras, and Ring cameras are always brought up, there's a Ring camera everywhere, but Amazon's Ring camera ended its partnership with Flock following a public backlash over privacy concerns. And while I hear people say, well, what about the cell phones? I think there's a real important distinction. You can opt out of much of the tracking that comes with phones and other technologies. You can also leave your phone at home if you'd like. What you can't opt out of is driving home on public roads with that your tax dollars pay for. And I struggled with this decision. I never want to do anything that negatively impacts public safety or our police department's ability to do their job. But our police department has done an incredible job protecting this town, its people, and their property long before Flock cameras ever existed. And with the addition of the new officers sworn in tonight, I fully trust our police department's ability to continue protecting this town without this technology. Ultimately, I was elected to represent the people of Pittsboro, and I believe the overwhelming sentiment from our residents is that the potential of abuse, loss of privacy, and lack of meaningful guardrails outweigh the benefits that these cameras provide. And so for those reasons, I support removing the Flock cameras immediately. And I'd also like staff to explore whether our UDO can prohibit ALPR cameras within public right-of-way and encourage conversations with the county about similar protections so that Pittsboro can send a clear message that this type of surveillance infrastructure is not something that our community in Pittsboro currently supports.
Thanks, Candace. When the issue first came up, I was on the fence, and I have had lots of time to think about it and look it up and read about it, and have had numerous amounts of residents come to me through email, coming to my store, and I also did an online survey, and over 500 people responded. The majority of them said they did not want Flock cameras in Pittsboro. And I too appreciate the police officers in Pittsboro. I know that you are protecting us, and you're protecting our constitutional rights as well. At the same time, it's my responsibility to listen and represent the people of Pittsboro. And I think that they have spoken pretty loud and clear about this subject. And one thing I keep hearing over and over again is a quote from Benjamin Franklin. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little bit of temporary safety deserve neither liberty or safety. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Who did you send this survey out to?
So I have a Pittsboro Town Commissioner Facebook page, and I have 200 followers, and over 500 people responded. So they were, I would say probably 70% of them, I recognize their names as Pittsboro residents. There was 323 people that said they did not want the cameras, 100 that said they wanted them, and probably 25 who said they weren't sure.
I'd like to make a statement also, a couple of things. I turned to the county attorney and the town attorney and the staff, and their guidance on this. There are some very vague, nuanced sentences in the contract itself when it comes to data retention. And that vagueness is a big alarm bell for me. There's certainly nothing that is going to protect us. If my fear is we have 20, 30 cameras and we're being monitored. That's my biggest fear. I prepared a town resolution that I'd love to read and present for a vote tonight, but I honor those commissioners who did not get to receive the document in time. So I will defer that and request that the new resolution be placed on next month's agenda for us to vote on. I care about this town. I care about the safety of the individuals, but I also think we are in a time of patriotic vigilance when it comes to constitutional violations. And I cannot control our cell phones. I cannot control what is monitored on my computer, but I can control the flock cameras in my town. And that is something that's quite compelling for me.
Thank you, Commissioner Foley. I also prepared comments because this is an intense issue, and I want to make sure that I'm careful with my words. So please forgive me for reading, but when I was in high school, my father was a Reagan Republican, and I often read his subscriptions to Reason magazine. Those writings on freedom and liberty and constitutional rights made a lasting impression on me. And one lesson that I took from that tradition is that concentrated power should always be viewed with suspicion, whether it is concentrated in government or in private corporations. Today, some corporations have become so large, so powerful, and so consolidated that they can pose real threats to individual freedom. Block is a privately held, venture-backed company reportedly valued at over $7.5 billion. Because it is not publicly traded, it is less transparent than a public company would be. Why does this matter? It matters because local governments ought to be very wary of outsourcing police surveillance infrastructure to a fast-growing private company whose business model depends on expanding the scale, reach, and indispensability of its network. From my view, the majority of the public is clearly telling us they do not trust Flock. I've counted more than 44 people who have spoken at that podium, emailed us, or called me personally asking that we cancel this contract. I share that skepticism. Despite reassurances about data deletion, we still have no reliable way to know whether the company is creating or retaining a different data set based on the data that we pay them to create. We have no way of knowing what they're doing with this metadata from the images that are taken through these cameras. And they may be managing these data in ways that may escape the constraints of the contract. The one thing that I do trust Flock to do is seek maximum profit from its technology, its networks, and its data. And they're not making enough money for a $7.5 billion valuation off of our $6,000 per camera. This concern is not new for me. I spoke against these cameras as early as our winter 2023 budget preparation meeting. In my recollection, I spoke again in 2024 in opposition to the cameras. Former Commissioner James Vos shared similar concerns. I was also glad that Commissioner Thurber referenced the Benjamin Franklin warning that those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. That quote remains powerful more than 270 years later. Public safety really matters, and I believe that it must be balanced against privacy, property rights, local accountability, and the presumption that citizens are free unless there is individualized suspicion. Government should not monitor innocent citizens by default. And most certainly, for-profit corporations should not be allowed to monitor citizens without their knowledge, consent, or any meaningful opportunity to opt out. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'm really pleased with the overall support and trust in our police department and Chief Shorty and his team and the work that they do. And I think, we've heard many stories about how this is a valuable tool for them. And, even in the comments of that survey, there was a lot of, I think, compelling reasons to have this. I think there are many legitimate concerns about the language in the contract and some of the things that are ambiguous and things about it. And I think, Pittsboro's been a leader in many areas with a national focus, like PFAS and treatment and litigation and things like that. I think there's an opportunity here too to continue using that tool while we put the onus on Flock for the contract changes. And we could suggest the changes that we want and need in Pittsboro to be sure about these things and clear up those ambiguities and either extend or not based on that. So I think there's an opportunity to lead that conversation. And that's what we've heard nationally and locally is the concerns are about the contract language and obviously the trust of the company overall. So any other discussion? There's a motion on the floor. All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion fails.
And I suggest another motion. I'd like to move that the town terminate its agreement with Flock Safety, including all amendments, renewals, extensions, and additional camera authorizations in accordance with the contract terms and applicable law, that no funds be appropriated in the town's 26-27 fiscal year budget for continuation or renewal of Flock services, and that the town notify Flock Safety to immediately discontinue operation and use of the Flock camera system and to deactivate all associated equipment, with removal of all associated equipment to occur as soon as practical and no later than July 1st, 2026, subject only to any required records retention, obligations, and final account reconciliation.
I second that motion.
Okay. Second, Commissioner Bonitz.
I have just one question for our board members. I had one phone call from one board member, and it seems like to me that I'm hearing four board members that have discussed this privately amongst ourselves. We are under open meeting laws, and discussion between commissioners outside of this room is prohibited. So I would just ask everyone to be careful with conversations, emails, texts, or whatever, because that is a ethics violation anytime three or more are speaking on the issue. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Up next, we have a request for a town hall construction manager selection. Jonathan? Oh, sorry.
Evening, Mayor and Board. My name is Ben Schmadeke, project engineer. This item is a summary of the selection process for the construction manager at risk for Town Hall, along with a recommendation to award a contract. So this was a qualifications-based process. We received 8 statements of qualifications, interviewed 3 firms, and ultimately chose Edifice as the most qualified based on their experience and approach to pre-construction. I'm happy to answer any questions you all have.
Any questions on this?
Is that the mock-up? Is that the,
No,
so
this there's that slideshow that they presented at the interview. This is not my personal.
This is what they've done for wealthier clients.
We may be able to afford the Laurinburg Town Hall with a portion of it cut off.
Glad to see the other, what was it, Pittsboro, where was it? The
Indiana.
Indiana is,
They did that?
No. We were gonna do far better than the other one.
can you talk about this selection process?
So for delivering a project, there are a few different methods that the state allows. There's hard bid, design, bid, build, design, build, and then this third one is construction manager at risk, where it's qualifications based. So we advertised an RFQ, kind of using the state's example and what the state construction office does. And so basically we choose who we feel is the most qualified, and based on the evaluation criteria that we included in the RFQ. And so that's so that includes evaluating the project team that they propose, their project experience, and their project approach. So we scored all 8 firms and then interviewed the top 3. And ultimately the evaluation committee, which included town staff, as well as our architect and Chatham County's Director of Permitting and Inspections, David Cam. We all chose Edifice as the most qualified.
Does Edifice have any experience in building town halls?
Yes, that was one of the reasons that they kind of made it to the top, is that's
at the Edifice.
Yeah, there you go. They had a lot of experience with town hall construction and just a lot of experience with local government work. Yeah, so some of their projects are included in that slideshow. And some of their statistics: 14 town halls and 103 public construction manager at risk projects.
And they're located where? They're based where?
They're based out of Charlotte, but they do work all in the southeast.
Any other questions? All right. I'll take a motion to authorize the town manager to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement not to exceed $76,348 for town hall pre-construction CMAR services.
Moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Bonitz. Second.
Second.
Commissioner Foley. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Following that item, we have a budget amendment for the town hall build. Heather?
Yes. So essentially, that's the budget amendment to allow us to have funds available to execute that contract.
Good. Take a motion to approve the budget ordinance amending the fiscal year 2025-26 operating budget and project budget to allocate funds to the town hall build project.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Thurber. Second, Commissioner Hunziker. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. And last on our regular agenda, we a introduction to the Town of Pittsboro Advisory Body Policy. Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Malia Sami. I'm the Deputy Town Clerk. This is really just an introduction to the policy to give you guys time to review it. The policy itself is intended to serve as a tool for the members of advisory bodies and staff, giving us a structured framework in one place with consistent expectations and regulations for both staff and boards. So it would clarify the expectations for appointments, the member roles, procedures, reporting, and administrative procedures as well. And while also maintaining compliance with state law, general statute, and kind of staying in line with other communities around us as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's more of a, hopefully you guys can review it and give us your feedback.
Do a comment or question. I did hear from one of the chairs of one of the advisory boards who mentioned that it would be really nice for there to be some more training or perhaps PBO 101, and I didn't see that in there, but is that something that we could suggest require?
So it is in here.
Is it?
It was a lot. Document.
It was a lot.
Long document. But so this again would be a tool for staff and the advisory body members. And the clerk's office, along with the staff liaisons for the boards, have been meeting and working on orientations for all of the boards. Just to give them kind of a rundown based on, potentially this policy, as well as tailored to the specific board resolutions or ordinances, and kind of what those staff liaisons are looking for with their board. So it will kind of lead us into how to train them, give them some more confidence in what they're doing and a little bit more direction, so that they're understanding what we're looking for and what, some more weight to what they're doing. But yes, training is involved in this as well.
Does that include ethics training?
Yes, so it would be included in this. It'll be kind of a higher level. We're happy to sit down with any board members, and new board members especially will get the opportunity to meet one-on-one with both the clerk's office and their liaison, staff liaison for that board. So PDAB would meet with Teresa and I, or Teresa, Carrie and I, to go over kind of the expectations and go over this more in depth so they get more one-on-one time with us.
I think in terms of PBO 101, I mean, we don't require it, but I think that's something we can also look for in applications and people that we appoint to those boards as well.
The clerk's office in the fall will be participating in, I'll be teaching a PBO 101 course on the clerk's office and the boards and advisory boards. So we'll get an opportunity to kind of tie this all together.
And I noticed when I was reading it, that the policy requires all the meetings to be in person. And I know that with PDAB, there are a lot of call-ins. How will that work? How will that change?
We're happy to look at that structure. It tends to be better for consistency just to have all in person. And Teresa and I have worked through this together as well. And have gone over that section, and really, I made sure with her that that section was, feasible for PDAB, and we came to kind of an understanding about that, but yeah. Thanks. So we're happy to look at that if that's feedback.
I share those concerns. I think we saw during the state of emergency and after the pandemic that virtual meetings do work and can be very productive. So
I'm happy to look at that with Jonathan, Carrie, and staff. This has gone through a lot of staff rounds of review, so we're happy to.
for sure, yeah.
Look at it again.
It's intense, and thank you. It's a lot of work. I appreciate it. I'm very glad that we had the opportunity to get in on it. In progress. It is very clear what advisory board volunteers are being asked to do and what they mustn't do and how they can be removed. But I'd also really love to see more about, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes if I was a volunteer. Wow, this is a lot more that I'm expected of, that is expected of me. So what am I seeing or understanding that staff will be obliged or required or responsible for? And I had a very specific concern about term limits. I can definitely see how the term limits are important for chairs of advisory boards. I think we ought to really seriously reconsider imposing two-term limits on all of our advisory board members. I think we're growing so fast and things are changing so quickly that as an elected official, I'm very hungry to hear more from the public As an introverted elected official, that's challenging for me. And so I rely heavily upon the input from our advisory boards. And I view them as an extension of public input. So I'm also concerned about some text in there about confusing that matter. The work is not straightforward. It's not simple. It's complex advisory board work. And so I think having a requirement that forces churn in new members, where we're going to have to bring them on board and help them understand the rules and capabilities and responsibilities. I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by having that term limit in place. And I might even suggest that we extend it to 3 terms for chairs, because kind of a similar situation. Once you've got a chair who's learned up, educated, experienced, efficient, effective, then I'm not sure that we want to let them go after just 2 terms. So.
And if I could follow something that he just said, if at the end of a term, would they not have to reapply anyway so the actual limiting could be on this body here to limit it to 2 terms or 3 terms based on that individual, not something in the, right?
That is correct. I believe we put that in there because that is the language that was currently passed for the term limits for the planning board. But we could change that to reference a resolution or a policy that you guys have passed for a specific board and not overall for all advisory boards, if you'd like.
I think a few things on that. I think that we're seeing extraordinary interest now in advisory boards, which has not historically been the case, but I think PBO 101 helps a lot with that. So I think that's you're correct, Commissioner Bonitz. It does take a little time to set it up sometimes on these things, but I think that also the infusion of new ideas is good as well. And I don't take it to mean that you're term limited to, you could move from Downtown Advisory Board to Parks and Rec Advisory Board if that was the case, or take a term off and then go back on to that as well. But I think there's some value in taking a break as well. And you're correct, Commissioner Hunziker, like we have that opportunity as well. But I think the term limits can present a opportunity for turnover without a vote in some cases either. So say that as clear as that. Any other comments on the policy?
Thank you.
Right. So in terms of the plan, this will be back next month for potential.
And to be back with a revised version 12. Next month, yes, at the June meeting. Sorry, presented again. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Malia.
Thank you.
If you have updates or you have thoughts, please email those to Carrie and I, and then we will see how they fit in. And if we get some requests that require a further extension, then it may be July. But just want to put that out there.
Thank you. All right. Up next, we have a closed session. So I'll take a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to N.C.G.S. 143-318-11A5.
Moved.
Second, Commissioner Thurber. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are back in open session. I will take a motion for the town to purchase all of the CSX property in Pittsboro for $62,000.
Leave 70.
The two just is 62.
32 plus 30. So moved. 70.
Thank you, Commissioner Bonitz.
Amendment, don't we?
A second.
Yeah, we'll do that. So we'll do this and we have motion Commissioner Bonitz, second Commissioner Thurber. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I'll take a motion for a budget amendment in the amount of $70,000. Is it? 70 though? Wouldn't it be?
You want to make a motion to amend?
Increase.
Increase the past budget amendment for the CSX property purchase to $70,000 to cover the property purchase and ancillary costs.
That's right.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Foley.
Fund balance.
Second.
From
Fund balance.
Okay, Carrie, are you good?
Yes.
Okay, second, Commissioner Bonitz. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, take a motion to adjourn. To move. Thank you, Commissioner Hunziker. Second, Commissioner Thurber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Aye.
Sunday tomorrow. Yeah, but you have to sweep out, sweep out gathering to get you a check.
Oh, I thought you meant the owner of Farm.
What's it, farm? Country farming home.